and welcome back to What's Cooking with Daystar. I'm Heide Cornell, and today I am here with Danielle Vaughn from Vaughn Law. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me today.
So do you want to tell us a little bit about what Vaughn Law is and what you do?
Sure. So I'm a board certified real estate attorney, and Vaughn Law is a boutique law firm that focuses on real estate law and estate planning.
Excellent. And I'm sure we'll have lots of questions, especially when we're talking about real estate and a lot of the things that Daystar does kind of crosses over into your world. Do you handle tenant relationships as well?
Absolutely. We handle landlord-tenant issues on a regular basis. Get a lot of questions on those because there's a lot of intricacies when it comes to landlord-tenant relationships.
Of course there are. We certainly understand that. But we will ask a few questions about estate planning as the day goes on, because as you've indicated, you do estate planning.
Yes, absolutely. We focus a lot on estate planning and trying to help people set up their assets in advance to make sure that they pass how they'd like them to.
Okay, well, wonderful. Well, we're very excited to have you as our guest today. Now, for our audience, today we're going to do something just a little bit different. We've actually invited Danielle to come and take a challenge. When someone comes to a food pantry, a lot of times they get food and they don't know what to do with it. So today we have invited Danielle to take the food pantry challenge. We are going to make a healthy and delicious low ingredient meal that you can find at your local food pantry or for low cost at your grocery store. So why don't we go on in and start the challenge now?
I'm excited.
So we just finished our pantry shop, and that was fun. So Danielle, why don't you tell me what are we making?
Well, we're gonna make a burrito bowl. We got all kinds of items from the pantry. We have some lettuce, so we have a base. Then we have some rice and some beans, some salsa, tomatoes, and some chicken for our burrito bowl.
Excellent. This is going to be so good. I'm already hungry. So why don't we get started?
Me too. And I don't know about you, but there's nothing better than a burrito bowl, and everything's in your pantry.
Yeah, this is exciting that we found a lot of things that you can just put together for a quick, easy, and healthy meal. So, Danielle, how did you hear about Daystar?
Well, I heard about Daystar, from you. I met you at a networking event, and I've lived in the St. Pete area for several years, and I had never heard of it before. So you told me about Daystar. I was able to donate some items, and then I came in here and I saw everything you have to offer. I was completely shocked by everything that Daystar does for the community.
Well, we're so glad to have met you, and we're really excited to have you here today. Really to be able to show you around and all of the amazing things that Daystar does for the community, but also to learn more about your organization. So Danielle, one of the other things you mentioned is estate planning. What is estate planning?
It's a good question. Really, estate planning is planning in advance to make arrangements on how you want your estate and your assets to be distributed if something happens to you. To make sure that the government does not get your assets or the government does not make the decision on who they go to.
So if you don't have a solid plan, the government can decide who gets your wealth after you die?
Well, not in so many words, but Florida statute and intestacies laws say exactly who it goes to. So, you might have an estranged parent or an estranged sibling, or maybe you have a minor child that you need to make sure that you make plans for. Maybe there's somebody that you for sure want to take care of your child. That would be something that you would put in your estate plan to make sure the courts can't make that decision. Or you have somebody that you want to, you have a sibling who's been staying in your house for several years, and you want to make sure that your sibling gets that house, and it doesn't have to share it with your other siblings. Issues such as that, just to make sure that the actual assets that you have are distributed exactly how you want. So they could be distributed according to intestacy laws, but they may not. And if you don't have an estate, if you don't have a will or a trust, you have no say in where they go.
Oh my goodness. Now, when you think of estate planning, I think a lot of people think of that as something they do later in life. But you've mentioned minor children or siblings cohabitating. I think we have a lot of situations here where we have clients who have multi-generational living situations. If something happened to the primary homeowner, you're saying that the people who are living in the house, maybe their adult children would not necessarily have rights to that home after their parent passed.
Potentially. It's interesting. Over the past couple of years, we've been involved with a lot of transactions where homes have been in families for years and years and years. And now, they just kind of continue to live there. And now a probate had to go back all the way to the beginning and on everybody who's passed away. So it's very interesting, all of a sudden you're trying to sell a home and you realize there's 10 probates that need to be done, and something that should be 30 days in easy process turns into a year-long process, 2-year-long process. But on top of what you were saying, I think it's important that people get estate planning right now, no matter what age you are. And the reason is we can plan for everything to go correctly, but that's not life. And unfortunately, things happen. And I've seen it firsthand, but people can do everything correct, but there's still illnesses, there's still accidents. And unfortunately, those issues affect people of any age. So if an accident happened tomorrow and you're 32 and you have a young child and you don't have anything set up for your child, they might go to a different state to live with a different family member that you don't know well because you haven't set that up.
Oh goodness.
It's sad.
That is so very important. I'm also thinking of some of our older community members who maybe they don't have family, or maybe they just recently relocated here and now something happens and maybe they want to support the local organizations within the community. That would be something that they would set up in an estate.
Absolutely. A lot of people, if they don't have family, will set up a will and will name a charity organization as the beneficiary of the will. So, for example, Daystar would be a great beneficiary. If somebody didn't have family and wanted to make sure that their assets went to Daystar to do good for the community, that would be put in their will. If it was not put in their will, there's no way their money would go to Daystar. If they had no family, their money would go to the government.
So Danielle, at Daystar, we obviously deal with a lot of community members who are, having some issues with their landlord, their tenants. Maybe they're having a hard time paying their rent now or utilities, and they're dealing with their property managers. What are some of the things that you might offer as advice to our clients or our community to better advocate for themselves or with their property manager?
So one thing that I've noticed a lot over the past couple of years with increasing rents on a regular basis is I really tell people to, first of all, make sure that they understand what they're signing and what they're entering into. A lot of people come to me after they've entered into a month-to-month lease. And the problem with that is it can increase every single month, and you can get evicted from your property with a mere 15 days notice. And so it's really hard when you're trying to plan and budget for your expenses. If you don't know how long you can be at that property or how long you're going to pay that rent, it's really difficult to budget. So I always recommend that somebody looks into that, make sure they understand what they have, and then negotiate a year lease. For the most part, landlords will negotiate it if you ask them about it. And if they don't, maybe that's not the right place for you.
Really good advice. I think we do see at Daystar a lot of people who just are unaware of their rights as a tenant and the proper channels that they can go through just to be sure. Sometimes we see people who don't know all of the fees that go along when they rent an apartment, not just utilities, but trash fees and pet fees and all of the extra fees that go into having people rent that property. And so, knowing your rights as a tenant and seeking proper advice before you get into a relationship is amazing advice. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
And I mean, even if you don't know your rights, just make sure you read what you sign. And I mean, sometimes it's hard to understand um, everything that you're reading, but a lot of leases are fairly straightforward, at least in the paragraph when it says you're going to pay this much per month and this is how long your lease is. So even if you can't understand the entire 10-page lease, which can have a lot of information, if you look at the beginning, you look at the main areas just to make sure that you are entering into a lease that starts on this date and ends on this date for this amount of month or amount of rent, then at least you know that the basic terms that you discussed are in that lease.
So, Danielle, tell me, what does community mean to you? You're here in St. Petersburg. What does the St. Pete community mean for you?
Well, I think the St. Pete community means a lot to me. I moved here to open up my law firm here in St. Pete. So I think it's important because the community is who I have always intended to help and educate on, real estate and estate planning issues. And I think it's really important that the community is made up of people that help one another.
So, as we said, today we made this chicken taco bowl, and very similar to what you would find at the local bowl Mexican-ish restaurant. Uh,
And very simple.
yes, it was really simple. And it was comprised of, we just grabbed some microwavable long grain rice, which is very inexpensive at the store, but also we have available here at the Daystar Pantry. So we just put that in the bowl like so. And then you add some chicken. We used canned chicken. Rinse the chicken so that it gets a lot of the grease and preservatives out, but it's already pre-cooked, so you really just had to warm it up. We added some spices to it. We added paprika, cumin, salt, and pepper. And if you want, you can add some red pepper at the end or while you're cooking the chicken for just a little extra kick if you like that spice. So you just put the chicken right over the rice in the bowl, like so. And then from there, we're going to add our
beans. We grabbed just black beans, canned black beans. Simple. We didn't even add any seasoning. Black beans have a lot of flavor on their own. So just heat it up with black beans. Very simple. And like that. And then should we do the lettuce?
Yeah, we can.
I mean, either way.
Lettuce in here.
There's really no wrong way to compile this dish. That's the best part about it. You can do whatever you want. What do we have? We have butter lettuce. You can do any kind of lettuce. You can do romaine or arugula, you name it, whatever, but
right.
Just gives it a little bit of crunch. We had that on there.
If you're purchasing from the grocery store, a head of lettuce is going to be less expensive, a small head, than prepackaged, pre-washed lettuce. This is what we have available in the pantry right now because our garden is not growing lettuce at the present season that we're in.
Then we added a tomato just to give it, making a mess. Added some extra tomato.
Part of the fun of cooking. You get to make a mess in your kitchen at the same time.
Sure is.
The kids will love it.
And then we also had pico. I don't want to make that too hot.
Yeah, we'll add some pico to our mix so that we have a nice salsa dressing.
And really, you can go with if you like things hotter, you can go with a hotter salsa. If you don't have pico, a good alternative would be to cut up an onion and a pepper and add it to the tomato, and it's a good alternative.
Sure is. And then finally,
cheese. I like cheese.
I love cheese.
I mean, I need to have cheese. Although this salad would be fantastic without cheese. We had a apple and cheese tray in the pantry. So we took cheese and we just sliced it up to put it on top. There's some pepper jack and some regular cheese on there. And really, you can use anything. Shredded cheese, feta cheese, whatever you can find is perfectly fine. And when we were grabbing this, we were talking about the apples and the caramel and the pretzels, which, I mean, they'd be great items to add in your kids' lunch for some sides. So definitely don't have to waste anything.
No, absolutely. Those are fun snack to have. Even just when you're watching TV, it's a much healthier option than opening up that bag of greasy chips.
Absolutely.
Have some apple slices with some caramel on there.
I don't know. Caramel sounds pretty good.
I don't know about you, but this actually looks delicious. We're just going to set it there. All right. So should we taste our creation?
I think so. It sure looks amazing.
It looks delicious.
Can't believe we found everything in the pantry for this.
I know. Excellent. Super easy, very low cost, and very, very healthy. Thank you once again, everyone, for joining us for What's Cooking with Daystar. Thank you to our guest, Danielle Vaughn from Vaughn Law. Remember to like and subscribe to our channel. And the recipe for what we made today and Danielle's contact information are in our description. Thank you so much.